There's a moment in every revolution where the world doesn't just change, it splits in two. On one side, there are those who saw it coming. On the other, those who woke up one morning to find their entire career obsolete. For graphic designers, that morning has already arrived. Picture this: a 34-year-old designer named Sarah, 10 years of experience. A portfolio filled with award-winning logos, brand identities, and packaging designs. She's worked with Fortune 500 companies. She's mentored younger designers. She's built a reputation. Last month, she lost 3 clients in 1 week. Not because her work wasn't good. Not because she raised her prices. Not because of bad reviews. She lost them to an AI that works 24/7, charges nothing after the initial subscription, and delivers results in under 30 seconds. This isn't science fiction. This is happening right now. According to a 2024 study by McKinsey, graphic design ranks among the top 5 professions most vulnerable to AI displacement. We're not talking about disruption. We're talking about extinction-level transformation, the kind that rewrites the rules overnight. Here's the brutal truth. In 2020, a mid-level logo design cost between $500 and $5,000. By 2025, tools like Midjourney, DALL-E, Canva AI, and Adobe Firefly can generate professional-grade logos in seconds for the price of a Netflix subscription. But it's not just about logos. AI can now design entire brand identities. It can create social media content calendars with custom graphics. It can generate packaging mock-ups, billboard ads, website layouts, infographics, and even motion graphics, all without a single human hand touching a mouse. And it's getting better, faster, cheaper, more creative. Let me paint you a picture of what's really happening behind the curtain. In 2023, a major advertising agency in New York quietly laid off 40% of its junior design team. The official reason? Restructuring. The real reason? They'd integrated AI tools that could do the work of 10 designers in the time it took one human to open Photoshop. In 2024, a global e-commerce brand replaced its entire in-house design department with a combination of AI tools and 3 AI prompt engineers. People who don't design, they just tell the AI what to create. The cost savings? Over $2 million annually. The output quality? Indistinguishable from human work, sometimes better. The jobs lost? 37. 37 careers. 37 people who spent years mastering color theory, typography, composition, and visual storytelling. 37 human beings who believed that creativity was something machines could never replicate. They were wrong. And here's the part that should terrify you or wake you up, depending on how you choose to see it. Graphic design isn't special. If your job involves recognizing patterns, following templates, executing repeated tasks, or delivering predictable outputs, even creative ones, AI can learn it. AI can replicate it, and eventually AI can do it better than you. This isn't about whether AI is good or evil. This isn't about technology versus humanity. This is about economics. This is about efficiency. This is about the cold, mathematical reality that businesses will always choose the option that's faster, cheaper, and scalable. And right now, that option isn't you. But before you close this video, before you dismiss this as just another sky is falling prediction, let me tell you something else. This isn't just a story about loss. It's a story about evolution. Because while AI is replacing graphic designers, something else is happening too. A new breed of creators is emerging. Designers who don't compete with AI. They collaborate with it. They command it. They use it like a superpower. These people aren't losing their jobs. They're creating new ones. They're building businesses. They're designing futures. And the difference between them and everyone else? They saw the pattern. Throughout history, every technological leap has followed the same arc: disruption, resistance, adaptation, and finally, evolution. The printing press didn't kill writers. The camera didn't kill painters. The internet didn't kill musicians. But it did kill the ones who refused to change. Graphic design as we knew it is dying. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to cling to the past, insisting that real design can only come from human hands? Are you going to rage against the algorithms, posting angry threads about how AI is soulless and stealing jobs? Or are you going to do what every generation before you has done when faced with extinction? Adapt, evolve, survive. Because here's the secret they don't want you to know. AI doesn't want your job. It wants your complacency. The moment you stop learning, stop creating, stop pushing boundaries, that's the moment you become replaceable. Not by a machine, by someone who learned how to use one. So let's talk about what makes a job safe in the age of AI. Let's talk about what makes a human irreplaceable. Let's talk about the invisible line between obsolescence and opportunity. Let's talk about what happens when creativity meets code and who survives the collision. Welcome to Part 1. What makes this job safe or doomed? Let's start with a number that should make you uncomfortable. According to a 2024 report by the World Economic Forum, 85 million jobs will be displaced by AI by 2025. That's not a typo. 85 million. And graphic design sits comfortably, or uncomfortably, in the top 10. But numbers are just numbers until you see the faces behind them. Meet James, a freelance graphic designer from London. For 12 years, he made a solid living designing book covers for independent publishers. He wasn't rich, but he was stable. $3,000 to $5,000 per cover. About 2 covers a month. Enough to pay rent, save a little, live comfortably. In early 2024, one of his longtime clients, a publishing house he'd worked with for 6 years, sent him a polite email. James, we've decided to explore AI-generated cover designs for our upcoming releases. We appreciate everything you've done for us, but we need to reduce costs. We hope you understand. They didn't just reduce costs, they eliminated them. The publisher now uses Midjourney and Adobe Firefly. They generate 50 cover options in an hour. They A/B test them with focus groups. They iterate in real time. And they pay $50 a month for unlimited designs. James lost $60,000 in annual income overnight. And he's not alone. Let me show you the pattern. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. AI doesn't start by replacing creativity. It starts by replacing repetition. Social media graphics, Instagram posts, Facebook ads, Pinterest pins, YouTube thumbnails. These are the bread and butter for thousands of junior designers. Simple, templated, predictable. Enter Canva AI. In 2023, Canva rolled out its magic design feature. You upload a few photos, type a brief description, and the AI generates dozens of professional quality social media posts in seconds. It understands brand colors. It applies typography rules. It even suggests captions. A task that used to take a junior designer 30 minutes now takes 30 seconds. The result? Companies that used to hire part-time designers for $2,000 a month are now paying $15 a month for Canva Pro. Do the math. But it didn't stop at social posts. In 2024, AI started doing something that was supposed to be sacred, creating brand identities. Luca, brand mark, Taylor brands. These AI platforms can now generate complete brand packages, logos, color palettes, typography systems, business cards, letterheads in under 5 minutes. I'm not talking about generic clip art. I'm talking about sophisticated, modern, strategically designed brand identities that would have cost $5,000 to $10,000 from a human designer. Cost from AI? $65. A branding agency in Toronto conducted an experiment in late 2024. They showed potential clients 10 brand identity packages. 5 were designed by their senior designers. 5 were generated by AI. The clients couldn't tell the difference. Worse, 3 of them preferred the AI versions. When asked why, one client said, "They just felt more modern, more on trend." The designers were devastated, but the market didn't care about their feelings. The market cared about results. Here's where it gets terrifying. AI isn't just handling simple tasks anymore. It's tackling complexity. In early 2025, Adobe unveiled Firefly 3.0, an AI capable of generating full advertising campaigns from a single text prompt. Not just images, entire campaigns, multiple touch points, print, digital, video, all coherent, all on brand, all production ready. A campaign that would have taken a creative team of 8 people 3 weeks to produce can now be generated in 3 hours. And it's not just Adobe. A startup called Recraft AI released a tool that can generate entire website designs, complete with layouts, graphics, animations, and responsive behavior from a conversation. You describe what you want. The AI builds it. You refine it through dialogue. No coding, no designing, just talking. Michael, a web designer from Austin, tried it as an experiment. He described a website for a fictional coffee shop. The AI delivered a full site in 11 minutes. It looked like something his studio would have charged $15,000 for. He didn't tell his team. He just sat there staring at the screen, feeling the ground shift beneath him. Let me hit you with some facts from the front lines. Upwork, one of the world's largest freelance platforms, reported a 47% decline in graphic design job postings between 2023 and 2024. Fiverr saw a 34% drop in orders for logo design services in the same period. 99 Designs, a platform built entirely for graphic designers, laid off 30% of its staff in 2024 and pivoted to AI-assisted design services. Meanwhile, subscriptions to AI design tools skyrocketed. Midjourney, over 16 million users as of 25, Dolly, integrated into Microsoft Office, reaching 300 million users. Canva AI 150 million active users, generating billions of designs monthly. Here's what Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, said in a 2024 keynote. "We're not replacing designers. We're democratizing design. Everyone is a designer now." That sounds beautiful, empowering even. But let's translate it. We're making design so accessible and cheap that you don't need to pay professionals anymore. That's the pattern. It's not personal. It's not even malicious. It's just economics. If your job follows a pattern, AI can replicate it faster, cheaper, and endlessly. And graphic design? It's full of patterns. Color theory has rules. Typography has guidelines. Composition has principles. Layout has formulas. Branding has frameworks. AI doesn't break these rules. It learns them. It masters them. And then it executes them flawlessly, a million times over, without coffee breaks, without creative blocks, without salaries. But behind every statistic is a human story. There's Rebecca, a designer in Sydney who spent 15 years building her illustration style. Last year, someone fed her portfolio into an AI model, and now anyone can generate Rebecca-style illustrations for free. There's David, who ran a small design studio in Chicago. He employed 6 designers. He shut down in 2024 because his clients kept asking, "Can't we just use AI for this?" There's Alicia, a recent design school graduate with $80,000 in student debt who can't find a job because every entry-level position now requires AI prompt engineering skills that weren't taught in her 4-year program. These aren't anomalies. These are symptoms. The decline isn't coming. It's here. And if you're a graphic designer reading this and thinking, "But I'm different. My work is unique. My clients value me," I need you to understand something. That's what every displaced worker in history thought. The factory workers replaced by machines thought their craftsmanship was irreplaceable. The travel agents replaced by Expedia thought their personal service was irreplaceable. The taxi drivers replaced by Uber thought their knowledge of the city was irreplaceable. They were all wrong. Not because they weren't good, but because good enough became free. So, what happens to those who refuse to adapt? Here's what they don't tell you about extinction events. They're never just about death. They're about making space for something new. 66 million years ago, an asteroid slammed into Earth and wiped out the dinosaurs. But that catastrophe didn't end life. It created the conditions for mammals to rise, for primates to evolve, for humans to emerge. Every ending is a beginning in disguise. And right now, in the world of graphic design, we're standing at that exact moment. The asteroid has hit. The old world is burning. But something new is being born in the ashes. Let me take you back in time for a moment. In 1760, the Industrial Revolution began. Textile workers, skilled artisans who had spent their entire lives mastering the craft of weaving, watched in horror as machines did their work 100 times faster. They rioted, they burned factories, they smashed the machines in protests known as the Luddite Rebellion. They lost. But here's what happened next. The world didn't stop needing fabric. It needed more fabric than ever before. And while the hand weavers disappeared, new jobs emerged. Machine operators, factory managers, textile engineers, fashion designers who could create styles at unprecedented scale. The craft didn't die. It transformed. Fast forward to 1888. The Kodak camera is invented. Portrait painters, artists who had made their living capturing faces on canvas, saw their entire profession threatened. Photography will kill painting. Painting, they said. They were half right. Photography did kill the portrait painting industry as it existed, but it didn't kill visual art. Instead, it liberated it. Painters no longer had to be realistic. They could be expressive, abstract, emotional. Photography took over documentation. Painting became pure creative expression. Impressionism, Cubism, Surrealism, Abstract Expressionism. All of these movements were born because painting was freed from the burden of realism. The craft didn't die, it evolved. Jump to 95, the internet goes mainstream. Encyclopedia salespeople, thousands of them, watch their careers evaporate overnight. Why buy a $1,500 set of encyclopedias when you can search for information instantly online, for free? The encyclopedia salespeople vanished, but the hunger for knowledge didn't. It exploded. And in their place came web developers, content creators, SEO specialists, information architects, YouTubers, podcasters, online educators. The need didn't die, it multiplied. Do you see the pattern? Every machine replaces a task, but never a dream. Technology doesn't kill human desire. It doesn't eliminate human creativity. It doesn't erase the fundamental human need to communicate, to express, to build, to be seen. What it does is change the tools. And the people who survive, no, the people who thrive, are the ones who learn to dance with the change instead of fighting it. Let me introduce you to a different kind of designer. The ones who saw the asteroid coming and decided to ride it instead of running from it. Meet Alex. 5 years ago, Alex was a traditional graphic designer. Photoshop, Illustrator, client meetings, revisions, the usual grind. In 2023, when AI design tools exploded, Alex didn't panic. Alex got curious. Instead of competing with AI, Alex learned to collaborate with it. Alex spent 3 months mastering Midjourney, learning prompt engineering, understanding how to guide AI towards specific aesthetic outcomes. Then Alex did something brilliant. Alex combined AI generation with human refinement. Now, Alex's workflow looks like this. Use AI to generate 50 concept variations in an hour. Select the strongest 3. Refine them manually with human intuition, storytelling, and strategic thinking. Present them to clients with narrative and context that AI could never provide. The result? Alex now completes projects in 1/3 of the time, charges the same rates, and takes on 3 times as many clients. Alex isn't being replaced by AI. Alex is amplified by it. Annual income in 2023, 65,000. Annual income in 2025, 180,000. Then there's Maria. Maria was a mid-level designer at an advertising agency. When her company started integrating AI tools, Maria didn't wait to be laid off. She saw the writing on the wall and made a bold move. She quit. She spent 6 months learning not just AI design tools, but AI prompt engineering, brand strategy, and visual storytelling at scale. Then she launched her own service, AI-powered brand systems for startups. Here's her pitch. You get a complete brand identity, logo, color system, typography, templates, and a 6-month content calendar in 1 week for $3,000. Traditional agencies would charge $20,000 and take 2 months. Maria uses AI to handle the production work and focuses her human energy on strategy, emotion, and storytelling, the parts that AI can't touch. She's not competing with AI. She's using it as her production team. In her first year, she made 240 billion by herself. She's not a unicorn. She's a pattern. Here's what's really happening beneath the surface. Yes, traditional graphic design jobs are disappearing, but new categories are exploding. AI prompt engineers, people who specialize in communicating with AI tools to generate specific visual outcomes. This didn't exist 3 years ago. Now, companies are hiring them for 120,000 plus per year. AI art directors, professionals who curate, refine, and strategically direct AI-generated content. They're the bridge between machine output and human emotion. Hybrid designers, creators who blend AI generation with traditional craft, hand lettering, illustration, photography, to create work that's impossible for AI alone to produce. AI tool. Creators, designers who understand the creative process deeply enough to build better AI tools. Companies like Runway, Midjourney, and Adobe are desperately hiring people with design backgrounds to make their AI more intuitive. Brand strategists, the role that focuses purely on the why behind design, understanding human psychology, culture, emotion, and meaning. AI can execute. It can't empathize. A senior strategist at Pentagram, one of the world's most prestigious design firms, said this in a 24 interview. AI has made execution cheap. But that means strategy just became priceless. The designer who can tell you why a brand should look a certain way, not just how to make it look that way. That designer will never be replaced. Let me tell you what AI cannot do. Not now. Maybe not ever. AI cannot sit across from a founder and feel the tremor in their voice when they talk about why they started their company. I cannot look into a client's eyes and see the unspoken fear that their brand isn't resonating. I cannot attend a funeral and design a memorial that captures the weight of a life lived. I cannot understand cultural context deeply enough to know when a design will inspire or when it will offend. AI cannot feel. And design, at its core, is not about making pretty pictures. It's about making people feel something. That's the edge. That's the moat. That's what you must protect and develop with everything you have. The designers who are thriving right now aren't the ones with the best Photoshop skills. They're the ones with the deepest human intelligence, empathy, cultural awareness, emotional intuition, storytelling. They're the ones who understand that design is a conversation between a brand and a human soul. And AI can only speak one side of that conversation. History teaches us something profound. Every time a technology makes creation easier, a creative renaissance follows. When the printing press made books accessible, literacy exploded. And so did literature. Shakespeare, Cervantes, the Enlightenment. When recorded music became possible, we didn't get less music. We got jazz, blues, rock, hip-hop, electronic, 1,000 genres blooming because more people could create. When YouTube democratized video, we didn't get less video content. We got an explosion of creativity, from bedroom filmmakers to billion-view creators. Now, AI is democratizing design, and yes, that means more noise, more mediocrity, more sameness. But it also means more opportunity for those who can rise above it. The designers who will dominate the next decade won't be the ones who make the prettiest gradients. They'll be the ones who tell the most compelling stories, who understand human nature, who can take AI's raw output and infuse it with soul. They'll be the ones who remember that technology is a tool, not a replacement for vision. Every machine replaces a task, but never a dream. The dream of creating something that moves people, that will never die. The dream of building a visual language that captures the essence of an idea, that will never die. The dream of looking at a blank canvas and seeing possibility, that will never die. What's dying is the old way of doing it. What's being born is something we haven't fully imagined yet. And the question isn't whether you'll survive the transformation. The question is, will you be brave enough to lead it? Let's stop pretending this is theoretical. You are watching this video because somewhere deep inside you feel it. The ground shifting, the walls closing in, the quiet panic that whispers, "What if I'm next?" Good. Fear is the beginning of wisdom. But fear without action is just paralysis. And paralysis is exactly what will make you obsolete. So let's talk strategy. Let's talk survival. Let's talk about how you go from being threatened by AI to being empowered by it. This is your playbook, your roadmap, your survival guide for the age of algorithmic creation. Stop competing on execution. Start competing on vision. Here's the hard truth. If your value is based on how fast you can create a logo, how cleanly you can kern typography, or how many mock-ups you can deliver, you've already lost. I will always be faster, always be cheaper, always be more tireless. You cannot win an execution war against a machine. But here's what you can win: the war of meaning. Think about this. A logo is not just shapes and colors. A logo is a promise. It's the visual embodiment of a company's soul, its values, its aspirations. It's a symbol that carries emotional weight. I can generate 1,000,000 logo variations, but it cannot tell you which one captures the essence of a founder's midnight struggles, which one resonates with a target audience's deepest fears and dreams, which one will still feel relevant in 10 years. That requires something AI doesn't have: context, history, intuition, empathy. This is where you must plant your flag. Let me give you a real example. In 2024, a tech startup called Ember came to a design studio in San Francisco. They'd already used Midjourney to generate 200 logo concepts. They were overwhelmed. "We have all these options," the founder said, "but we don't know which one is us." The designer, let's call her Nina, didn't open Illustrator. She opened a conversation. She spent 3 hours interviewing the founders, learning about their childhood experiences with technology, understanding what problem they were solving and why it mattered to them personally, discovering that one founder had lost a parent to preventable medical error, and that's why they were building healthcare AI. After that conversation, Nina looked at the 200 AI-generated logos and said, "None of these." She worked with the AI to generate 50 more concepts, but this time with prompts informed by deep human understanding. Prompts that contained words like guardian, vigilance, warmth, and precision. The final logo wasn't just beautiful, it told a story. When the founder saw it, he cried, "That's irreplaceable. Master AI, don't fear it." You want to know the biggest mistake designers are making right now? They're avoiding AI out of principle. "I'm a real designer," they say. "I don't need AI." That's like a photographer in 1990 saying, "I'm a real photographer. I don't need Photoshop." Pride will kill your career faster than any algorithm. The designers who are winning right now aren't rejecting AI. They're mastering it. Here's your action plan. Learn the tools, not superficially, deeply. Spend 30 days with Midjourney. Don't just type random prompts. Study prompt engineering. Learn how to control style, mood, composition, lighting. Understand parameters, weights, and negative prompts. Spend 30 days with Adobe Firefly. Learn how it integrates with Photoshop. Discover how to use generative fill, generative expand, and text-to-image in professional workflows. Spend 30 days with Canva AI or Figma AI. Learn how they're democratizing design and figure out where the gaps are, because those gaps are your opportunities. Understand the limits. AI is not magic, it's pattern recognition at massive scale. It struggles with complex conceptual metaphors, cultural nuance and sensitivity, consistent character design across multiple images, precise typography and text rendering, strategic brand positioning, and emotional authenticity. Every one of these limitations is a space where human designers are still essential. Learn where AI fails. That's where you thrive. Build hybrid workflows. The future isn't human or AI. It's human and I. Here's an example workflow from a designer named Marcus, who's making $300,000 a year. Client brief. Human strategic thinking. 2 hours. Concept generation. AI produces 100 variations, 1 hour. Curation and refinement. Human selects and edits top concepts. 3 hours. Presentation and storytelling. Human contextualizes and presents. 2 hours. Client feedback. Human interprets emotional response. 1 hour. Final execution. AI plus human collaboration. 3 hours. Total. 12 hours for a project that used to take 40 hours. Same quality. 1/3 the time. 3 times the clients. That's not cheating. That's evolution. Specialize in what AI can't touch. Remember, AI is trained on the past. It synthesizes what already exists. It cannot imagine what doesn't exist yet. That means certain types of design are AI-resistant. Original illustration styles. If you develop a distinctive hand-drawn or mixed-media style that's uniquely yours, I can imitate it, but clients will still want the original. Authenticity has value, motion and animation. While AI is getting better at static images, Complex motion design, character animation, and narrative-driven video work still require human direction and timing, intuition, strategic branding, building a complete brand strategy, understanding market positioning, competitive differentiation, cultural timing, and long-term vision requires strategic thinking AI cannot replicate. Experimental and cultural work. Designs that push boundaries, challenge norms, or respond to real-time cultural moments need human courage and cultural intelligence. Physical and spatial design, exhibition design, environmental graphics, packaging with tactile elements. Anything that exists in three-dimensional space requires human spatial reasoning. Find your specialty. Go deep. Become the best in the world at something specific. Because generalist graphic designer is a dying category. Expert in specific thing is eternal. Build relationships, not just portfolios. Here's something AI will never do. Take a client to coffee. Remember their kid's name. Show up to their product launch. Send a handwritten thank you note. The designers who are surviving aren't just selling design. They're selling trust, partnership, understanding. A 24 study by Bain & Company found that 73% of companies still prefer working with human designers, not because of output quality, but because of relationship quality. Clients want someone who understands their business, someone who cares about their success, someone who will push back when an idea is wrong and champion them when it's right. AI is a vendor. You can be a partner. That means responding to emails like a human, not a robot. Asking deeper questions than, what colors do you like? Following up after projects to see how designs performed, offering insights beyond the project scope, being genuinely invested in their success. This is emotional labor. It's invisible work. It's the work AI cannot do, and it's the work that will keep you employed. Think bigger than design. The smartest designers right now aren't just designers anymore. They're consultants who solve business problems through visual strategy, educators who teach companies how to use AI tools effectively, product creators who design templates, assets, and systems for others, community builders who create spaces for other designers to learn and grow, content creators who document their process and build audiences. The designer who only designs is becoming rare. The designer who designs and thinks strategically and creates content and builds relationships and understands business, that designer is unstoppable. Sarah, a designer from Berlin, saw the shift coming in 2023. She started a YouTube channel documenting her process of learning AI tools. She built an audience of 200,000 designers. Now she makes more money from sponsorships, courses, and digital products than she ever made from client work. She didn't stop being a designer. She expanded what being a designer means. Never stop learning. In 2020, if you learned Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, you were set for a decade. In 2025, if you stop learning for 6 months, you're obsolete. The pace of change is exponential now. Every month, new AI tools launch, new techniques emerge, new opportunities open. The designers who thrive will be the ones who treat learning as a lifestyle, not an event. Subscribe to AI design newsletters, join Discord communities, watch tutorials, experiment daily, fail often, iterate constantly. Allocate 20% of your time to learning new skills, even if they seem unrelated to design. Learn storytelling, learn psychology, learn business strategy, learn video editing, learn copywriting. The more dimensions you add to your skill set, the harder you are to replace. Here's what I need you to understand. This playbook won't save everyone. Some designers will read this and do nothing. They'll wait. They'll hope the storm passes. They'll convince themselves that their craft is special enough, timeless enough, protected enough. They'll be wrong. But some of you, maybe you, will read this and feel something ignite. Not fear, not anymore. Determination. You'll realize that this isn't the end of creativity. It's the beginning of a new era where the most human skills, empathy, vision, cultural intelligence, strategic thinking, become the most valuable. You'll understand that AI is not your enemy. Complacency is, and you'll make a choice. The choice to adapt, to evolve, to become something more than you were, because that's what humans do. We don't just survive disruption, we turn it into opportunity. Let me tell you a story about the future. It's 2030. You're sitting in a coffee shop and you overhear a conversation between two young people, Gen Alpha kids, maybe 22 years old. They're designers. One of them says, "Can you imagine what it was like before, when designers had to manually place every element? When a logo took 3 days instead of 3 minutes?" The other laughs. "That's wild. My grandma told me stories about designers spending hours adjusting kerning." Hours. "What even is kerning?" the first one asks. They both laugh. And here's the thing. They're not mocking the past. They're simply living in a different world. A world where the tools have changed so fundamentally that the old ways seem quaint, antiquated, unnecessary. Just like how today no one handwrites letters and mails them when they can send an instant message. Just like how no one develops film in a dark room when they can edit photos on their phone. Just like how no one looks up information in an encyclopedia when they have Google. The world moves on. Technology doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't pause out of respect for tradition. It simply happens. And the question, the only question that matters is, what kind of person will you be in that future? Throughout history, every major technological shift has divided people into three categories. The resistors. These are the people who fight change, who cling to the old ways, who build walls and moats and declare, "Not in my lifetime." They're the hand weavers who burned the textile mills, the portrait painters who called photography mechanical and soulless, the encyclopedia salespeople who insisted books would always be superior. They lost every single time. Not because they were wrong about the value of craft. They weren't. Craft does matter. They lost because they confused craft with process. They mistook the tool for the art. They thought the value was in how something was made, rather than why it was made and what it meant. The adapters. These are the people who change because they have to, reluctantly, fearfully, with resignation rather than excitement. They learn the new tools, but they never truly embrace them. They're always looking backward, mourning what was lost, never fully present in what's emerging. They survive, but they don't thrive. They exist in a constant state of low-grade anxiety, always feeling one step behind, always waiting for the next disruption to knock them down again. The pioneers. These are the people who see change not as a threat, but as an invitation. They're the textile workers who became factory engineers, the painters who invented abstract expressionism, the encyclopedia salespeople who became web developers. They didn't just learn new skills, they imagined new possibilities. They asked, "What can I do now that I couldn't do before?" And they built the future. Here's what I need you to understand. This isn't a metaphor. This isn't philosophical. This is your life right now, in this moment. You are standing at a fork in the road. Down one path is resistance, denial, the slow, painful decline into irrelevance as you watch the world move on without you. Down another path is adaptation, survival, a career built on anxiety and constant catch-up, always feeling like you're not quite enough. Down the third path is reinvention, Possibility. A career built on curiosity and courage, where you're not running from AI, you're running toward what comes next. Which path will you choose? Because, make no mistake, choosing nothing is still a choice. Waiting to see what happens is still a choice, and it's the choice that guarantees obsolescence. Let me paint you a picture of the designer who will not just survive, but dominate the next decade. She wakes up at 6 a.m., not because she has to, but because she's excited. She spends the first hour learning. Maybe it's a new AI tool, maybe it's psychology, maybe it's studying how Gen Z consumes visual content on TikTok. She doesn't resent technology. She's fascinated by it. At 9 a.m., she starts work. A client brief comes in. Rebrand a nonprofit that helps refugees find employment. Most designers would jump straight into logo concepts. Not her. She spends 3 hours on research. She interviews refugees. She talks to program directors. She studies the cultural backgrounds of the people the nonprofit serves. She learns about trauma-informed design. She asks herself, what does dignity look like? What does hope look like to someone who's lost everything? Only then does she open her AI tools. She generates 500 concepts in 2 hours using Midjourney, feeding it prompts rich with cultural context and emotional depth. She curates them down to 5. She refines them with human intuition, adjusting a curve here, shifting a color there, not because the AI got it wrong, but because she feels something the AI cannot measure. She presents the concepts not as images, but as stories. She explains why this particular shade of blue represents both water, journey, and sky, possibility. Why this geometric shape honors the client's Middle Eastern heritage while feeling modern and forward-looking. Why this typography is accessible to non-native English speakers while maintaining sophistication. The client doesn't just buy a logo, they buy meaning. They buy strategy. They buy a piece of their own story, reflected back to them with clarity and beauty. This designer charges $15,000 for what used to be a $5,000 project. Because she's not selling execution, she's selling transformation. She works 4 days a week. She makes $250,000 a year. She has time to spend with her family, to travel, to create personal work that feeds her soul. She doesn't resent AI. She dances with it. That designer exists right now. There are hundreds of them, maybe thousands. The question is, will you be one of them? Here's the final truth I need you to hear. AI is not the threat. Mediocrity is the threat. Complacency is the threat. The belief that your past skills entitle you to future success is the threat. Because here's what the AI revolution has revealed. There were always 2 types of designers. Designers who made things look pretty, and designers who made things mean something. AI has made it brutally clear which category you're in. If your value was primarily aesthetic, if you were hired to make things look professional or on brand without deeper strategic thinking, then yes, AI is an existential threat. Because AI can make things look professional. It can match brand guidelines. It can produce aesthetically pleasing work at scale. But if your value was strategic, if you were hired to understand human psychology, to tell stories, to build emotional connections, to translate complex ideas into simple visuals, to see what others miss, then AI is not a threat. It's an amplifier. It's the difference between a musician who plays songs exactly as written and a musician who interprets, who improvises, who infuses every note with emotion and meaning. AI can play the notes, but it cannot make music. Only you can do that. So here we are. At the end of this journey, but really at the beginning of yours. You've seen the evidence. You know what's coming. You understand the stakes. Now comes the hard part, deciding who you want to be. I can't make that decision for you. No one can. But I can tell you this. The world needs designers now more than ever. Not designers who push pixels, not designers who apply templates, not designers who execute without thinking. The world needs designers who see deeper, who feel more, who imagine bolder, who understand that design is not decoration. It's communication, it's psychology, it's strategy, it's empathy made visible. The world needs you, but it needs the best version of you. The version that's not afraid of change. The version that treats every tool as an opportunity, not a threat. The version that knows your value isn't in your software skills, it's in your humanity. 20 years from now, someone will make a video like this one about whatever technology is disrupting creative work in 2045. Maybe it's brain-computer interfaces that design directly from thought. Maybe it's quantum AI that can predict visual trends before they happen. Maybe it's something we can't even imagine yet. And the designers watching that video will face the same choice you're facing now. Resist, adapt, or pioneer. The designers who chose to pioneer back in 2025, who embraced AI when everyone else was afraid, those designers will be the legends, the ones giving keynote speeches, the ones writing the books, the ones running the studios. They won't be afraid of whatever comes next because they learned the most important lesson. Change is not the enemy. Fear of change is. So choose courage over comfort. Choose growth over safety. Choose to be the designer who writes the future, not the one who mourns the past. Because graphic design isn't dying, it's being reborn. And you get to decide whether you'll be part of that rebirth or a footnote in its history. The choice, as it always has been, is yours.